What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Tuesday edition of the NBA Slate Starter Podcast. I'm Eric, joined with my buddy Ryan as we break down Tuesday's now 6-game NBA DFS slate. We are starting this a little over an hour before the Charlotte and Portland Hammers, so we have absolutely no idea how we're doing. If you have as much Malik Monk, LaMelo Ball, PJ Washington, and Miles Bridges as I do. Rayen Patnaik, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. We'll see which one of those guys and Dame Lillard on the other side of things really spikes a fire in our lineups. But it should be a fun late night hammer, the truest of late night hammers, the 10:30 Eastern tip-off. So it'll be exciting to see who really pulls us to the promised land.
As long as two of those Charlotte Hornets smash, I'll be a happy kid. I'll just take two. Just give me two optimal guys out of those four. Pair them with Damian Lillard, and let's have a party. So you ready to get started?
Let's do it.
Perfect. Before we get going, get down to that bottom bar. You know the drill by now. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when this and all the other content at Awesemo is going live. Let's go to the top of point guard over on DraftKings. Lebron James up against Phoenix. We know this Phoenix team, again, Chris Paul gets added and all of a sudden Phoenix is just a great defensive team. I don't know why that is. Maybe he just likes to yell a lot. I think he does. That might make some sense to me. So LeBron James, 10-7. Still not the greatest you would say for matchup, but it's LeBron James. We're starting to see him come a little bit alive. He only played 24 minutes in that absolute massacre against Golden State the other night. Put up 41 there, but coming off a 67.75 against this Portland team, or against Portland, the team going tonight. But they're playing Phoenix there on Tuesday. Russell Westbrook, 10,100 up against Memphis, continues to just kind of fill up the box score the way that he does. The assist went way down after 3 consecutive double-digit games. He only went for 4 assists. I know because I bet the over on the prop. I didn't enjoy that fact, so I'm hoping that he gets back on the train of those double-digit assists here against Memphis. Good spot for him. And then Trae Young, 9,600, a tough matchup against Miami, coming off of a couple duds consecutively. This Hawks team is switching coaches. Now it's Nate McMillan at the helm after going 14-20, I believe was the number that I saw. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that was their record. Rayen Patnaik, talk about the top end of point guard.
Yeah, LeBron, Trae Young, Russ Westbrook, all make for some fine pay-up options. I'm fairly excited to try to find a way to see what the ownership is on Russell Westbrook and try to maybe potentially go up there. We haven't seen Russell Westbrook above 10K that often this year. I know there was a stretch last week he was, but at that price tag versus his Memphis matchup, last time he played Memphis, I believe he went north of 60 fantasy points. I believe it was in the bubble. I believe, if not the bubble, but it was before the COVID shutdown last year. I like riding with Westbrook again, 10-1. I expect those assists to go up. LeBron in a tough Phoenix matchup. I'm going to expect LeBron to find his own way to really get us there. 10-7 is going to be expensive, but we saw what he did in the first half alone. I believe he was north of 30 fantasy points against Golden State. They just didn't need him in the second half. That's why he only played 24 minutes. I expect the minutes to go up. I expect a pretty competitive game against Phoenix. It should be a fun watch playing his old pal, Chris Paul. On the other side of things, some spend-down options. Moran just does not look good. Maybe this guy was overhyped. Maybe this guy's overrated, and I think we all took him. We really oversold his Rookie of the Year hype into the second year. The injury has been kind of lingering. I think he's playing through it. They obviously blew past Houston, and he put up 22 fantasy points in 26 minutes, and he didn't get to double-digit real-life points even. So I expect him to bounce back versus Washington. It is Washington, so I think we need to ride Ja Morant at that 7K price tag. Hopefully, he shows some flashes of his Rookie of the Year self sooner than later. Spending down options, if Derrick Rose is still going to get some run with no Elf Payton, I think we can go to him just because we know what the minutes are there. Thibodeau doesn't care about this guy's injury history. He's just going to ride him out. 5,900 versus San Antonio. San Antonio will be on a back-to-back, so I think there's some merit to going to Derrick Rose against San Antonio tomorrow. I don't know why I mixed that up, but over there on the top end,
it happens. Trust me, it happens.
Top end point guard on FanDuel. Trae Young stands out 9,400 versus Miami. New head coach. Maybe the team comes out motivated, and we'll see what he does. He played Miami. He's played Miami a couple times this year. One game he went from 66. So it's, I think, saving those for a couple $100 to Westbrook maybe is a contrarian play. I like Westbrook at 9,600 and Ja Morant definitely 7,100 makes for a fine option as well. I think Jamal Murray will be coming in at a very low ownership. They'll be on a back-to-back versus Milwaukee. So I think that's just purely an ownership play. Other spend down options, I think we can potentially go to Kemba Walker. We're seeing the minutes creep over 30 now, way consistently. So I want to say about the last 7 games, he's played north of 30 minutes. I think Kemba versus a Clippers matchup. The matchup is kind of a concern. He's just going to be pestered by Pat Beverly at times. That's the only concern I have, but I do like that price tag. The minutes are there. And we can potentially go back to Goran Dragic. He burned a lot of us last time out. Just monitor the situation with Jimmy Butler. If he's out, I think seeing what the ownership comes in versus none versus Dragic, there's going to be a fun if-then game playing there. And just playing the ownership game might pay off for you, as it did for many people last time out. It's kind of wraps up the point guard position. No really spend down options really stand out to me on FanDuel.
I got one guy just because we had Facundo Campazzo. What a wonderful phrase. He ended up getting ruled out for the week here. Sorry, the Hakuna Matata. I just love the fact that the syllables match up. He's going to be out for the next 3 games. We're seeing Morris still at 4,600 down there in the bottom end. PJ Dozier, I think, is blowing up a lot of lineups right now. 7 minutes, 0 for 2 from the floor, 0 fantasy points. That seems suboptimal. So he has 1 turnover and an assist. So what would they be? 0.25. Good times. Good job, PJ Dozier. So 29%, you're going to see that come way, way down if you were to be an absolute blow-up chalk spot. I wouldn't mind having a little bit because, again, if you want to go any what stars and scrubs, 3,200, you could do worse than that in a track meet game against Milwaukee that's playing up in pace this year. The one bummer of this slate from the front end is that Memphis and Washington, which is just a great game, is the first one on the slate. And I always hate when the best game in terms of pace on the slate is going to be the first one right off the bat. We don't really get to take advantage of the late swap. Everybody gets the news on the front end. There are some pieces like Winslow, D'Anthony Melton, who saw his minutes go up to 22, put up 32.75. Just about anybody can get there against Washington. Justice Winslow has point guard eligibility now, so you can throw him up on DraftKings at 3,900, only playing low 20s minutes. But again, you could do worse than a sub 4K Justice Winslow with the usage he's had the first couple games. On to shooting guard, yes?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Starting over on FanDuel, top end, Bradley Beal, 10,200. Again, same great little matchup. Went completely nuts last time out, 61.4. All of a sudden, against Boston, he just went from being a non-factor. I was kind of underweight on these Washington guys, and then all of a sudden, I was very upset with myself because, of course, Bradley Beal was going to get there. I had a weak shooting guard position on that slate, but such is life. DeMar DeRozan, 8,200 in this slow pace New York matchup. We know kind of what we're getting into there, but DeMar DeRozan has a ceiling just about any spot. He's continuing to be under 8,400. I'm curious who might rest from San Antonio. We'll see if LaMarcus Aldridge, that's the main guy that I'm thinking might rest on this back-to-back. We'll talk about a couple Spurs coming up here, but not a very enticing game for anybody on that side of the ball. New York, we can definitely still fire up some shots on. Devin Booker, $8,000 in this tough LA matchup. Again, another guy who went for 57.5 against Minnesota. Little tougher matchup here against the Lakers, just slightly. So talk to me about the top end of shooting guard. Oh my God, Paul George is 7,900 on FanDuel. That's jarring. Go ahead, now you talk.
Yeah, so you left off at a good spot for me to pick up on Paul George, 7,900. Let's ride versus Boston. I've been playing Paul George quite a bit this year. I love his minutes. I like his taking a ton of shots. I expect him to shoot better than 2 of 10 from the field. I don't think Pandemic P is back, so I think this is more of a regular
Bubble
Paul
Revenge
George
Tour. Bubble Revenge Tour.
Yeah, he's been great. Paul George has been, I think, like I said earlier on other shows, that he's gotten too much hate at this point. Paul George, I think we can definitely target over there in FanDuel. I think Bradley Beal is going to be coming in at a pretty low ownership at 10-2. We've seen a couple games now where Beal and Westbrook are getting their upside games. They did it a couple games ago against Minnesota. Obviously, the matchup helped, but they kind of were pretty solid against Boston as well. So definitely an option. DeMar DeRozan, 8,200. Seems like a very nice, solid floor play. Nothing too exciting. Devin Booker against the Lakers. I'm targeting some guys against the Lakers now. With no Anthony Davis, their defense is just not the same. They're not playing as much defensive intensity. I don't think they're having a championship hangover right now. They just missed AD a ton on the defensive end. Tyler Hero came back. I expected him to play around 30 minutes, which he did. He just wasn't shooting efficiently. And 6K, I'm okay with the price tag. I'm not that interested in him. If he's that ownership, I'll be coming in well under the field right now. And Lonnie Walker deserves to mention 4,200. It's a back-to-back for San Antonio. I don't know what Pop is going to do, but he might pull a fast one on us and rest DeRozan and open up some starting lineup minutes, some usage for Lonnie Walker. I think we can take some chances there. Desmond Bain was great last time out. I was really high on him against Houston. He paid off pretty nicely for us. He's the man. I think we can consider an option against Washington for sure. On FanDuel, that kind of wraps it up. Over there in DraftKings, leading off, we got Bradley Beal, 9,700. I like that. Obviously, the three-point bonus is going to help him. The shot volume is phenomenal. North of 25 shots is something that we'll take any day, even against Memphis. I have no issues going to pay enough for Bradley Beal. Even 8,400, Paul George, I think it'll be unique. A great ownership play. We know what his upside can be. And Chris Middleton, similar to Paul George, 8,300, model of consistency for sure. Both make for some great spend-up options. I prefer them both to Jaylen Brown on the other side of things, and I prefer him to Devin Booker as well. So that's how I stand in the upper tier over there in DK. Spending down, I'd be willing to go back to Dozier against Milwaukee. He was great in 14 minutes last time out. Maybe we overreacted. 30% was a lot higher than I expected for PJ Dozier, but he's going to let a lot of people down. He's going to let me down tonight. So it's disappointing, but we try to go back when we can. And like you said, Facundo Campazzo, what a wonderful phrase. He's not going to be there tomorrow. So I think taking shots with Dozier make a lot of sense. And Desmond Bain, 3,400, make for a fine option as well.
It means no worries. Just play Michael Porter Jr. as a double-double with 6 minutes left in the third quarter. Let's go. It feels so good. I'm on the right side of variance for once in my life with Michael Porter Jr. Why did I cap him at 50%? Oh, yeah, because I was getting him in every lineup beforehand because my projections are obsessed with him. So whatever. Tomorrow he's just going to be so chalky. That's a great segue over to small forward. Let's get to the top end. We'll stick with FanDuel here because they're obviously going to be more owned over on FanDuel because of that small forward spot. We got LeBron James, 10,800, obviously a good spend-up option. A 9,700 Kawhi Leonard. We actually have a bunch of dudes that we can spend up at the top end on small forward. Generally a position we like to punt. Jimmy Butler is questionable coming into this too, sitting at 9,500. Jaylen Brown, 8,400, I believe is questionable if it would ever update. Yes, he is. There we go. Chris Middleton, 7,400. Oh my God. FanDuel hates us. Like FanDuel... Gosh, I love them so much. I've been having a lot of success over there this year. But man, Michael Porter Jr. Sitting there at 6,300 and Chris Middleton 7,400. How do you not just jam those in if you're me? Talk to me about small forward.
Yeah, they're kind of solving FanDuel's puzzle for us with these pricing mistakes, especially Middleton. I really like Middleton's price tag. I'm going to prefer to find those extra $900. So.
Good thing you have to play two, right? You can just play them all.
I just saw their price. Yeah, $1,100 difference between Middleton and Porter. Yep. I prefer paying up for Middleton for sure. We know what Porter, his defensive liabilities, Malone, and his short leash with him. No one on Chicago really worries me, but he could have some trouble trying to keep up with Giannis and Middleton and Drew Holiday at times. So, and I think Budenholzer will drop a game plan to target Michael Porter's defense. I'm just reading maybe too much into it, but 6,300 Porter Jr. makes for a fine price point. I like the price tag with Kawhi Leonard, $9,700. Pretty solid. I think they're going to need him against this Boston matchup. Mid-40s pretty much seems like a lock for him, and if not higher. I prefer Leonard to Butler, even if Butler plays. I know Butler's been doing so much for them right now, but this injury, this right knee inflammation doesn't sound nice. Doesn't sound exciting for Butler, and Miami Heat fans, they need him. So I'm going to be cautious with Jimmy Butler, even if he plays, just because they're going to be cautious with him, I believe, with that knee injury for sure. LeBron James, we already know the story with him. No AD, definitely the upside for more 70 points is on the table for him, even in this Phoenix matchup. Spending down mid-tier, RJ Barrett might have some ownership at 5,700. Very points dependent, so he doesn't pick up that many peripherals. At times, he really needs to get you over 20 real-life points and then find a way to get some extra rebounds to really pay off that price tag at times. But 5,700, if his ownership is low, because you get the roster too, definitely should be considered. And Will Barton, 4,900. I would like to see what his ownership comes on at, but I think taking chances on Will Barton makes a lot of sense. He might get some extra ball handling duties. I need to see how that plays out with no Facundo Campazzo. in the second unit. So that's something to monitor as well. Over there in DK, spending up makes sense. Kawhi Leonard, 8,800. That's kind of cheap for Leonard. I like that right now. I like saving the $2,000 from LeBron to Leonard over there. Definitely a fine option to go. And other price points, Jason Tatum is 9,400. That seems kind of expensive just because he came off a game where he went north of 50 fantasy points against the Wizards. Now he's going to have to take on the Clippers, where he's going to have to handle Kawhi Leonard and Paul George on defense, who are both very elite defenders, in my opinion, and I'm sure yours as well. So that's no easy task from going to Washington to the Clippers.
This is totally the spot where Jason Tatum goes for 65, though. Like, this is just that sick place where, like, there's no chance I'm going to play him. He's going to be low owned. He's got Brown back if he ends up being ruled in. I think if Brown's ruled out, I'll still take some shots on Tatum. But God, it has not been pretty for him of late. Whether that's the COVID issues that he's been having, he did have 51 against Washington, so that, I mean, it didn't kill you, but he was mega chalk there. Much different spot, as you said. Go ahead and round us out.
That's really about it. And if there's still backcourt injury situation, maybe taking a few shots with Alec Burks, but we've covered the likes of what's his name, Desmond Bane and Dozier. We've covered what the situation over there, but that really is it. I mean, Kawhi Leonard and everyone else over there for me on DK, the way things stand.
I mean, FanDuel's going to be fun tomorrow. I'm just playing two guys. It's just going to be disgusting. Whatever. DraftKings, you can kind of mix it up to whatever. Justice Winslow's 3,900. I'll say that again. Even at low 20s minutes with the usage he's been having in his first 4 games back, I'm still going to take some shots there. Even though I expect him to be popular for sure. And Will Barton just went over 10.5 points. So the NBA prop report short. Go and check that out sometime, guys. I put up a YouTube video every single day. So I'm writing a Slate starter article. You can find the video attached to that every single night. Doing the NBA prop report short, firing that up here. I'm doing a little personal plug here. That's going to be our Awesemo plug for today. Just me. We're going to be hosting the deep dive for the first time on Wednesday. So come on in, come troll me, check me out a little bit there. That's going to be fun filling in for Lofty as he's off.
Before you check Eric out, I'll be on the strategy show Wednesday morning. So.
Oh, man,
so
I might get zero sleep Tuesday to Wednesday morning. I have to check you out. I got to support my guy. Go ahead.
Yeah, the Slate starter will be on the Awesemo mainstream throughout on Wednesday, so definitely check us out on Wednesday for sure.
Yeah, so that's going to be awesome. I've got, and then I'll be doing the deep dive article on Thursday for our last day before we all play NHL every single day for a week and try to figure out what's going on there. That'll be good times. But make sure that you hop over to awesemo.com just to give you a little preemptive stuff. We'll have the All-Star break here coming up. We'll be back on Wednesday. So we're going to have just a short, brief little break here for the All-Star break. Make sure you jump over and check out Jake Ari and a couple of these other guys that are putting out our NHL content. I've been very, very fortunate to have access to some of those projections. They were absolute fire for the couple days that I've been able to play some volume over on NHL. So I just want to give you a little plug on those guys too. They do amazing work. So jump on over there, stop guessing, start winning, and get ready for NHL season because there's going to be 5 days of it. Let's get to the top end of power forward. Let's go to DraftKings. I was over on FanDuel. Again, I'm an equal opportunity DraftKings FanDuel guy. Looking at Giannis Antetokounmpo, 11,000 up against Denver. He's so good at fantasy basketball. I don't know. Some people were bashing him the other day as if he was bad or something. Some other places. I just cannot even fathom thinking that Giannis sucks at basketball. He's incredible. That is now 5 consecutive games of 60+. The most consistent fantasy basketball player on the planet, playing 38 and 40 minutes his last 2. Coming off of putting 66 and 67.5 in 29 and 33 minutes the games before. If this thing stays close, if this doesn't get blown out of the water against Denver, which I wouldn't expect it to, it's going to just be fantasy goodness all around for Milwaukee and Denver. So looking forward to that one. Jason Tatum, the aforementioned 9,400, sitting there at the top end of power forward as well. Only if Jaylen Brown's out for me. That's the only way I'd even consider touching him tomorrow. Otherwise, let other people run around and chase that one. And then Julius Randle, who's just been outrageous. Tibbs doesn't care about anyone. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about me or anybody else when it comes to fantasy. He just does what he wants to do. I guess I should just be playing more of these Knicks and more of Julius Randle every single slate. Now coming off of four consecutive of 46.5 or more. Last two, 57.5, 51 for Julius Randle on DraftKings. 9,300 still a discount for a guy with this kind of usage and this kind of minutes. Talk to me about power forward.
Yeah, so obviously Giannis, someone who's gone north of 70 fantasy points a couple times in his career versus Denver. Denver's defense doesn't scare me whatsoever. And Denver will be on a back-to-back. Giannis should be an absolute monster. And definitely, I believe, will be projected probably the highest player on most projection systems across and models across the DFS circuit for sure. I think Randall, $9,300, he is an all-star. I think someone we can consider at low ownership, and he's been very consistent himself as well. Hopefully there's enough value to maybe we can potentially jam those guys in. Man, it's going to be, it makes me sick to my stomach to say I'm going to prefer Randall to Tatum at those prices just because I saved $100 and maybe I can do something with those $100, pay up somewhere else for an improvement elsewhere. It's just the matchup lies out that way. Spending down, John Collins came off a monster game of 58 fantasy points against the same Miami team. Now, is that realistic from John Collins? Unlikely, but we'll have to see what Nate McMillan does with this rotation, as obviously being named the new interim full-time coach, I believe. It might change. I'm not too sure what they'll do with Collins. I would like him to get some extra backup 5 minutes just because he could definitely will find his way to extra peripheral stats. Someone over on FanDuel where blocks are rewarded, I think we can definitely consider John Collins over there. Other guys on FanDuel, Giannis 11-3, phenomenal play. Bam Adebayo, no Jimmy Butler. Came a little disappointing for us. Didn't get the 50 fantasy point threshold, but I think we can definitely go back to Bam in the same match versus Atlanta. I prefer saving to Bam over there than Randall. I think that's an $800 difference. It's pretty significant, especially if no Butler. John Collins has been bumped up to 7,800. It's okay. I don't like the price bump that much. But Jason Tatum is also 9,300. I think he's going to come in pretty low owned and purely an ownership play. Nerlens Noel, I believe they just ruled Taj Gibson out tomorrow. If he's going to get 40 minutes, sign me up for Nerlens Noel all day, every day, especially against San Antonio. I think Nerlens Noel is going to be a very popular option, and rightfully so. I think Nerlens Noel is probably one of my favorite plays on the slate over there in FanDuel, the way things stand right now. And I think Trey Lyles will get some ownership like he did today, 4K if he's starting. Maybe it's a back-to-back, no Aldridge tomorrow, potentially, as he's coming back from injury. We'll have to monitor that situation. Potentially some extra minutes for Trey Lyles for sure. And that really is it. It's Nerlens Noel on FanDuel and everyone else.
Kind of agree with you. You could take some shots on Bobby Portis. If those minutes get up there, we know what Bobby can do randomly, but there's an opportunity cost at power forward tomorrow over on FanDuel with Giannis up top, Julius Randle, Bam Adebayo, 8,700, depending on the Butler news, John Collins, who just went completely nuts. I'm probably not going to chase that game at 7,800. Definitely more interested in getting to him over at 6,800 over on DraftKings. Michael Porter Jr., 6,700 on DraftKings. I'm hoping that suppresses some ownership there. I'll still be taking my regular daily shots of Michael Porter Jr., which sounds like he's my COVID vaccine, but he might be. He might be able to help me out a little bit. I'm here for it. Anybody else you want to talk about before we round out the day?
Now let's talk about Nerlens Noel on center on DK. Let's get the center rotation started.
Oh, gosh, here we go. Yeah, he's 5,200 down there. I'll let you talk a little bit about it. Well, we already did talk about him. Just play him, 5,200. Giannis Antetokounmpo on DraftKings sitting at the 11K number. You've got Jokic sitting at 10,800 in the middle of an absolute whooping of Chicago. They're only up 2, but through 3 quarters, he's just got a ridiculous stat line. You guys can look it up for yourself. I don't think he's going to go underlooked by any means. On FanDuel, 11,000. Then you go down to Capella, 8,500. I thought it was kind of rare that Capella and Collins went off together. I think that's going to be something that I want to take a closer look at to kind of figure out, because I can't remember many times that they went off together, just simply because there aren't enough rebounds to go around. But maybe it was just a poor shooting night by Miami on the front end of it. I'm not sure. I'm gonna do some digging. DeAndre Ayton on FanDuel sitting at 7,500. Jumping back over to DraftKings, Bam Adebayo 8,700 center only. Clint Capella 8,200 center only. A lot of options up top. Couple in the mid range. But just like always, very top heavy. Nikola Jokic gonna eat up a bunch of it for me. Talk to me about center.
Yeah, over there in DK, we know the upside with Jokic and Giannis. It'll be fun to find lineups if we can jam it in both. If there's enough value that opens up, maybe this game's a track meet and they both go off. Jokic has played well against Milwaukee in his career. There was a game last year, specifically, I want to say in February, if I'm not mistaken, where Milwaukee, Denver was shorthanded. I think they had only 7 or 8 guys, and they pulled off the win at Milwaukee. One of the most impressive wins in Malone's coaching career. I thought it was a very impressive win, and Jokic was great then. Other center options, I think Jonas Valanciunas, all things put together, the guy's coming off a bad game. Now he's going to a great matchup. His price works out. There's a potential for Jonas Valanciunas to absolutely be a monster against this Washington team. I like that quite a bit. DeAndre Ayton has been performing well in the minutes he's getting. He's gotten 40 and 39 fantasy points. We'll take those fantasy outputs, especially at that price tag at $6,700. I like that quite a bit. Nerlens Noel, 5,200, makes for a fine option. And then Montrezl Harrell, someone who I think is going to get some extra minutes. So if he gets 30 minutes, I'll take Montrezl Harrell versus DeAndre Ayton. 5,600, I believe, is his price tag on DK.
Correct.
Something.
Yep.
I like that quite a bit. But
he only played 11 minutes. They just rested him against Golden State. Mm-hmm. So I'm
really
hoping that keeps his ownership down because, it was disappointing, but it was an absolute whooping. I had a ton of LeBron and got screwed too. But who cares? Fire it back up.
Definitely. And Nerlens Noel, under him, it's going to be tough to go there. Robert Williams has now gone up. But, under Nerlens Noel, it's going to be hard for me to consider anyone right now. Over there in FanDuel, Jokic leads the way, 11K. Fine spend-up option. Definitely someone to consider. Capella, 8,500 is mad. I'm still going through the phases of Capella just having this monster year. Leading the league in rebounds has been impressive. But Jonas Valanciunas, 7K. I like saving the $1,500 because I think Valanciunas has a huge upside within him, especially against Washington. And Montrezl Harrell is the third center I'd consider over there on FanDuel for sure right now. Anyone else that really stands out to you outside of those three in terms of pricing and all things put together?
I mean, there's a segment I have sponsored by Robert Williams, not intentionally, but it's a guy that I always have 5% of. The problem is people are starting to catch on to that now. I've been doing that pretty much since the start of the year. It was a lot more fun to play Robert Williams at 0.5% than at 15%. So even at 4,600 though, on DraftKings, again, I'm not looking at him being my sole center at any point in time, but on DraftKings, I do like to try to find a punt or two where you can play 2 centers. You can kind of pair them together. They generally have double upside, and when you get that bonus, if you can get somebody low owned, it's really valuable. Marc Gasol, 3,800. He just hasn't necessarily been playing the minutes. Only played 16 against Golden State. I would expect against Phoenix, where they have Ayton, they have Kaminsky, it could be something where him and Harrell never share the floor really, but Gasol definitely has some 25 maybe sitting there in upside. We just haven't seen the rebounds at all. He hasn't exceeded 5 rebounds in his last 10, so I guess that does make it tough. Precious Achiuwa getting a shout out on the Slate Starter podcast. 12 minutes, 27.75 DraftKings points. If you want your 0.01% owned guy, Precious Achiuwa, is that for you? Please tell me somebody else. We can't finish with Precious Achiuwa on the Slate Starter today.
Nerlens Noel, the minutes are great. He's going to be, I think, really owned. Hopefully he doesn't let the chalk down because I think he's going to be a really good chalk.
Yeah, you were spot on with your Porzingis call yesterday. Thank you for that, by the way. Had some Kleba. Thank you for that as well. You are very good at DFS. Finish us out here, buddy.
No, thanks so much for joining us on this Tuesday NBA Slate Starter show. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully tonight's late night hammer comes in for you guys, and good luck, everybody.
Hopefully it comes in for me. Monk, Bridges, Ball. Please, just one time, baby. One time. We'll see you guys later. Catch you on Wednesday. Bye.